Okay, so I'm basically gonna do exactly what I did there again because I've got to hit record. So, yeah, sorry, that big sigh was just because that flu vaccine has made me very, very tired. Um, so, uh, and I did so good. I just wanted to leave it. I didn't want to have to do it again. But this is something we come to as artists. We feel like, man, I did it so good. I can never redo it. But that is such a falsehood. Like that is a self-defeating falsehood. You did it once, you can do it again. And to be honest, this next time's gonna probably be better. So what did I do this one? Oh, on this one I start with trapezoid. So if you notice, every time I am coming about solving these problems, like when I was blocking in the cube, which I hope you guys looked at those other videos. When I was solving those problems, I'm kind of coming to it in a different way each time. So this one I'm going to do the same as the first one because you didn't get to see the first one. It worked out so good. So how I started first, here, sorry. How I started first was I noticed, okay, oh, there we go. Okay, so I noticed that this object, if I count this whole thing, actually is not a sphere, it's a trapezoid. So let's see how I can do this. So if I look at this and I follow, oops, let me make, sorry, let me make this a little bit smaller. So if I follow this line and made a parallel here, and then I made a line here and a line there, then I would have a trapezoid, right? So the first thing I'm gonna do here, which I did last time, worked so good, is check this out and use this guide to help me understand. So like I couldn't really see this line that well until I did this, you know? And I'm just actually gonna look at this angle down here. This angle here, oops, is what I'm gonna look at. Okay, and I'm just gonna make a little mark. And if I need to know the angle, I'm just gonna pull this over. Let me see, oop, oop, oop. Sorry, because I miss it because of that. Oop. Okay. Okay, I don't know. My device just connected. I don't know what's happening. I'm gonna check my audio in just a second. But so I just kind of marked here and tried to mimic this angle here. I'm gonna darken this up so you guys can see this. You know what? I think I might have to actually do this one in right in pen. So you guys can see it maybe. Let's see, can you guys see that? So let me go here. I'm gonna get this angle, and here, oops, I'm actually looking at that angle. So weird because of how I'm holding my pencil in this thing. It's okay. So that's where that is. And so I'm just gonna kind of like, I actually want this like that, so I'm gonna, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. And I'm just gonna kind of make like an eyeball line. So we're not getting into 1 and 2 point perspective right now. This is okay, just make a little line. I'm not really be super concerned about it. Now I'm gonna look at the relationship here. And if you notice, I'm actually paying attention a lot more to my my space that is not my object, which is called negative space. And I'm just gonna kind of, basically I'm getting a feel for this triangle. How do I make that triangle in this space? Well, I guess my line is actually like here, my outside line. Okay, so, okay, good. Okay, I'm gonna look here. I really like thinking of this as a trapezoid, so I'm sort of making this trapezoid. How wide is the trapezoid here compared to there? It's actually skinnier than this. So I'm gonna look and see, kind of maybe like here. Who knows? We'll play that by ear. Okay, so I got this. And my trapezoid here, this it's this really interesting triangle that shows up right there. See it here? And so I'm just sort of getting a feel for what does that really, where does that touch? This measuring stick right now, is that parallel of the invisible trapezoid that wraps around this shape, this object? And so I'm just going to sort of eyeball where that is, eyeball where that is, and this is like the outside portion of the actual sphere, you know. Now I'm going to take a little bit of time to think about these relationships of these objects to each other and decide where my next move's going to be. I think since I got this going here, I got this, I'm going to work on figuring out where this top part is, right? So the top part of this invisible trapezoid is not actually the top of the sphere, right? Because the sphere kind of comes over. So the top of the trapezoid somewhere like over here. But what is this angle if I were going to connect there? Okay, so I'm trying to do that. I like it better there. Okay. So that failed for me right there. I'm gonna go back to looking over here at this shadow and go with that because that worked out for me better the first time. Okay. So I never solve the same, I don't solve the same problem twice, right? So I'm solving the same problem as I'm drawing this cube twice, but I'm solving it slightly different each time. Okay, so I've got this. I'm gonna kind of eyeball here where I think the top of this sphere is. And I'm comparing things and I'm doing everything pretty relationally. Okay, so, and just by holding this over the sphere, this is so weird, you guys, I can get kind of a feel. Okay, so this would probably be helpful to you guys if I did it this way, so you could see. So I'm mimicking this trapezoid, right? You see it over here. Oh, oh man, my angle's off. Wow, did you guys see that? It was so off. Okay. Okay, cool. And now, this actually makes a lot more sense. Okay, so I'm gonna get some little fills here. This is the outside of the sphere, right? So this is what the line I'm drawing right now is this line right here, which doesn't really exist. And I'm drawing it on this outside here, just so I can see where that happens. And I know this sort of angles like that. So I'm just going to put that line in there, even though I normally wouldn't do that, just because it's helping me ground my sphere relationship here. So my sphere is more closely related to a square than other shapes in my mind. So I'm actually going to go and try and make a mark just kind of somewhere in this like general region of this, straight across from where my outer part is here. And yeah, and then I'm gonna do kind of the same here and try and see. So this one, this mark, oops, might be helpful to go back to understanding my trapezoid, right? So my trapezoid, the line that I'm marking right now is basically this line here. Doesn't really exist again, you know. And this line helps me know there's like a little bit of shadow here. That's cool. I didn't mark that in last time at this point. And my lowest point of my sphere is like here. And so this, I'm actually going to use a pencil because I'm going to have to erase some. So I first am doing a little bit of these. I did a whole gesture over here of the circle that didn't get recorded. So yeah, so I'm just getting a feel, and I'm using a real light pencil, right? Actually, I'm not. I'm using a very dark pencil, but you should be using a real light pencil. And I'm just kind of figuring out this thing. And I'm not trying to do it with my, I'm not trying to go like with my wrist. I'm using my shoulder. See what's happening here. By the way, this works better for me if I can stand at a table. I know we're all working in these like really weird environments right now. Weird environments, our homes. So weird. So I got it kind of down, kind of scribbled down there. Love that for me. I'm gonna go in and sort of get some of that away since I'm about to ink it, and I just wanna know really where I'm drawing my lines. Can be kind of stressed about circles and spheres. They're rough, you know. You want to get really good at drawing. Spend a lot of time drawing circles. And so I'm just gonna kind of follow this around. I already screwed it up, it's fine. There are people who learn how to draw circles. It's actually like most art schools make you learn how to draw a circle. So a lot of people who go to art school can actually draw circles, like just draw them. I do it as practice, and I do it periodically, especially when I'm trying to like work through some kind of problem. I'm stressed out. So my journals end up with like just a bunch of circles. I was looking for some, whatever. Yeah, so this, you guys can see that. Okay, so there's like my little sphere here. Now I'm gonna follow this shape around to the shadow, swoop it around. And I've noticed already that this length of this shadow is actually longer than my sphere width. It's also longer than the length of the whole image. So when I'm comparing over here, I'm using my measuring stick again. I hold this here, and so that should be longer than this. And it is a little bit. It's actually not long enough, but you couldn't tell that in my weird angle that I was trying to hold to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in and get in my darkest darks. I'm gonna cross hatch this, and I'm actually gonna switch my pens for a thicker one and the other one so I can see the difference here. So I'm gonna come right in here and get this darkest part of the shadow, right? And I'm not gonna get into the shadows on the sphere just yet. We're gonna talk a little bit about those. So I'm just gonna cross hatch this messy style because messy is what I want to do. Okay. So the darkest area of our shadows, always in like the closest to the object. Okay. And you guys can't maybe see, but it's kind of darker all the way around there. And then the fuzziest areas of shadows are the areas that are furthest from the object, always. So this shadow has multiple types of value, right? So I'm gonna follow this line here around and just draw that right here on my thing here. And then now I'm doing this line here. Right there. And I want to come around here because I remember in my 6th grade drawing class when we had to do spheres that I always brought the dark around here on the side. But that really just depends on where the light source is. So don't draw what you think you see, draw what you actually see. And that doesn't happen on this particular sphere because of the place that the light is. So I have this marked in, and I'm gonna go through and put some extra lines in this darkest area. And I'm gonna move some of them around with the curvature of this sphere. And then I'm gonna extend my other lines down into this other shadow. That's really got a lot of reflected light in that lower shadow. So I'm not getting too dark because I know that that's actually lighter because I can see it right here in my image. Okay, and now I'm gonna kind of, I don't want to pull away, but I want to keep this sort of rounded thing here. And since I've got some curvilinear lines in there, I can go in and darken up with some straight lines and it doesn't really pull away from the feel of it. I do have a really dark line right there that doesn't feel like it blends well, so I'll go in and mess it up a little bit. So. Yeah. I'm gonna come in here and darken this bad boy up some more. Close up like it's really dark. Okay. So that is one way to block in and describe a sphere with line. Oh, if I hadn't done this in marker, I would have remembered to come up here and darken this up. So one way to always make sure people are understanding what you're visually translating is to have the background, the negative space, get darker around the lightest parts of whatever you want on your positive space. And that's going to help everything kind of pop, you know. And then when I come down here to get this background, I'm just going to kind of lighten it up. I'm not actually going to get too crazy because that's where things get dark on my object, you know. I will put some lines here to sort of anchor that shadow. But you know,